Hello friends, Dee here. You know, it's hard to believe, but it's been almost 3 years that I've had this this channel. Yeah. And over those 3 years, I've put up, oh gosh, it says more than 300 tutorials. Now that's not exactly accurate because in the beginning, I was putting up things in parts because my internet speed was so slow. I couldn't really upload anything that was very long. Anyway, I have better upload speed now, so I have changed that quite a bit. Anyway, so when you have that many classes, it's hard to find the original classes. And as a matter of fact, maybe you're brand new to the channel. Maybe you haven't seen any classes at all. So I decided that some of my favorites and tutorials that were favorites among students, I would re-upload. And I did try to change some things here. For instance, in the beginning of some scenes, you're going to see butterfly cane part blank. Well, originally that's the way I operated. I would put titles over each of the scenes or parts. Well, I don't do that anymore. And so I tried to remove them, and where I could, I removed them. But some places I just couldn't because I was talking over the title and it just didn't work. So apologies for that. I don't do that anymore. Anyway, so what are we doing in this reissued tutorial? We're going to make the butterfly cane. All right. And it's what I call studio session, because basically I started with an idea and I had a picture and then I just went. So it was either going to work out or it wasn't going to work out, but I was going to take you with me. Luckily, it worked out, and this is what we make in this tutorial. Monarch butterflies, my favorite butterfly, by the way. So anyway, that's my story, and it is time for us to start. Hello friends, it's Donna. I am including this studio session on making a monarch butterfly. I made the butterfly. It was quite different because I departed from my usual method of working, which is to make a butterfly that I think looks like a butterfly. So I actually worked off of a picture and I shot the process as I went. So you're going to see what happened from start to finish with me not knowing what was going to happen at the end. So anyway, if I hope you enjoy this, and you know, I think this monarch butterfly would be wonderful with the canes, with the cane that you've made here together. So let's watch the monarch butterfly. I took a photo of a monarch butterfly and I cut it in half, or I edited it in half. And this is way too large a cane. I'm not going to make anything that big. So I reduced it, and this is what we'll work off of to compare. You see, my canes have a tendency to grow. I think that this is not an uncommon problem. So this is what we will work on. Now, as you can see, we've got this deeper orange area here in the upper wing, and then the lighter orange to a kind of a yellowish color down in the lower wing. They are also very different shapes. So we are going to make the upper wing, then we're going to make the lower wing, and we're going to use them as separate elements. We're not going to put them together. We'll, of course, have to make a little body and the head and the upper body of the butterfly as well. So let's get started. I'm going to mix up the colors and then I'll be back. The first orange is just the package color. I think that that's fine for this deeper orange. And the lighter orange, which is what I'm going to blend to, is here. And so by using our quick cutter method, what I determined was that that color, this color, is actually 6 parts of yellow to 1 part of orange. So I will mix that and then I'll be back. Here are the 2 colors set up for a Skinner blend. Now, this was the excess of the lighter yellow-orange, and this is what I'm going to use when we make the cane, the lower wing cane. So I'm going to Skinner blend this, then I'm going to roll it up. Here is my blend. I am just going to fold it over like so. And now I'm going to roll it through my pasta machine, starting at the thickest setting. Okay, so now it's longer, and I'm going to reset my machine to setting number 2. My atlas starts at 0, and I'm of course going to put this edge on the rollers. And roll through. Okay, so let us make a Skinner blend bullseye by rolling from the lighter yellow-orange to the deep orange. Okay, good deal. Now, when we look at our reference photo, you can see that there are 1, 2, 3 large chambers, and then this small one, and then a long, thin one. So I am going to be cutting the wedges, and each wedge will be used for 1 chamber. Okay, and then the last wedge, because there are 4 wedges, will be used to create this and this long, slender piece. Okay. Now, cut the wedge. Cut again. We've got our 4 wedges. Okay, so as I've done before, first of all, I like to put 1 flat edge against my thumbs and then draw the clay from around the perimeter down toward the point. Okay, now flip it over and repeat, do the same thing. Now, if you look at this edge, you can see that the black is sort of, I mean, it's not a solid, hard line. And that gives it the appearance of sort of blending in. It's a much softer edge. So I think the way I'm going to try to make that is by taking some black clay I'm going to roll this clay thin. So I've rolled this through setting 5, my pasta machine, and I'm going to put just a bit over the top. Like so, you see, so it's not going all the way down. The darker orange is going down further. And what I'm going to do is find my brass rod. Well, I can't seem to locate it at this moment, so I'll use the back of my Pro Tool. And let's just try to draw some of that down. Like so. Okay, now this single piece, I'm going to, and you know, I drew it down a little bit farther than perhaps I should have. We'll see. Cut it in half, put them together. And you know what I did? It was too much black, but I still think it's fine. All right, now, of course, the cane's going to be reduced quite a bit when I use it. So let's just close the top like this. I'm not going to go any further. I think I will stop it here. And let's reshape it. Okay, that's not bad. That is not bad at all. Okay. This edge is pulled out a bit. The bottom gets pulled out just a little bit. And that top edge is a bit more rounded, like so. So next time, I will definitely use less of the black. That was just way too much, and you saw how much that was. But I think it's going to be fine this time. This next time, I'll pay more attention to that. Okay, so there's one piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the other pieces. And along this edge, this is the next one, I will add less black. And let's see what happens there. Okay, still setting number 5, but I am going to make it much smaller because that was way too large. And we'll do that one more time. Oopsie. All right, so if we look at this one, we can see that the actual shape, it's kind of long and thin, and then it comes to a point, an angled point. So let's just make this longer, like so. Longer and thin, and then kind of pull the clay up on this side. Okay, so it's a little bit smaller, but I don't think it's going to make that much difference. is smaller. Let me take a cut off of the first one and put it down. Actually goes this way. So it is a little bit smaller, but I don't think it's going to matter that much. All right, so let me work on this, and I will be back. Now here are the 3 pieces I've made so far. Now when I put them together, I might have to reduce, let's say this piece, it might be a bit too large, but that's okay. I've got it basically set. I need this tiny piece here. Made these 3, so I need this and I need this. So I think I'm going to take this cut piece from the end of, I forgot which one of these, and I am just going to reduce it and make it work as the piece that fits in here. Okay, I will be back. Now here are the 4, actually 5 parts to the orange part of the upper wing. So let's put them together. Now, as you can see, I have wrapped each one with a thin sheet of black, rolled through setting number 7 on my pasta machine. So I'm going to start with the uppermost. Then, actually, I think I will fit this one next. Like so. Then this one fits in that space, so let me bring this out to a point. Like so, and then this one fits in right here. Then this piece will fit right in here. Okay, let's look. No, it's not too bad. This might be a little bit large let me see if I can get it out, and I think I can, because I haven't really stuck them together. So I'm going to do my best to just slowly get it out. Very good. And I'm going to reduce the size of it because it is way too large. Just need something kind of small in that space. Let me look. Yeah, that's better. Much better. So pretty much as long as you haven't like really pushed the pieces together, you'll be able to remove and make adjustments. Okay, now that's not too bad. Of course, this is it's a lot thinner than this, but you know, it's not going to look exactly the same. I'm just looking to get close. If, however, I wanted to remove some, I certainly could, just by taking my blade and carefully cutting away what I can actually reach without destroying anything else. Okay, so, you know, you can continue to make small adjustments. Like so. All right, so now I reduced that. Now let's, I have to prepare to fill the rest of the wing. This area out here, a little bit underneath, so I need a white bullseye that I will continue to reduce and use in these various places. So let me do that. So here is a cylinder of white that I've wrapped with kind of a medium setting of black. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start reducing it and trying to shape it in these different shapes as I go along. So of course this is the biggest one, then this is the next biggest, and then it goes on, and I keep reducing. So that's what I'm going to do now. All right, let me set that aside and start reducing this. And I made this white very soft by adding the conditioning bar, because I want to make sure that it isn't left behind when I start reducing. All right, so let's take a look. Just gonna cut the end off and see whether that is still a little too large. So I will reduce this further. Let me see, and that is actually pretty good. So I'm going to cut this particular piece at this size. Okay, so here's the first one. I'm going to flatten the end a bit. Wish I knew where my breast tube. Here we go. So let me create this flattened side. and that will go right there. Okay, let me reduce the next one a bit more because I know it's smaller. I think that's pretty good. So here's this one. This one will go up just a bit, like so. The next one is reduced further. I think maybe this is good. Okay, this is a little short. But that's not too bad. So I have to do this piece down here, and then I will pack black around it. I made this white clay so soft. I think it'd be okay though. All right, now very soft. I think it'll be okay. Dun, 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 dun. Just like that. And maybe it won't be exactly correct. but I'm doing clay. I'm not taking a picture. Now, there are people who cane in such a realistic fashion. People like Claire Wallace and Wendy Jour de Saint-Jour, and, you know, I mean, there are some really amazing caners out there. All right, now let's get to packing. So let me prepare for packing, and I'll be back. So I rolled a small cylinder of black, and first I think I'm going to fill this space here. And I will do that by taking a wedge and cutting the wedge in half. And then rounding one end. Oops, sorry. And then pressing this one little piece in there to fill up the space. Like so. All right, now I'm going to trim away the excess. Oop, falling down. So let me just get my blade in there and cut away some of this excess clay, like so. Okay. I may cheat it. It's grown. Oh, I may have to reduce it. Just make it a bit smaller. Okay, cut the end off so it'll stand up. Okay, here we go. And things get a little squishy or squished down because, as I said, I think I made the clay a bit too soft. Can I pull it? I can pull it apart. Okay, so I think this piece is all right. I smooth this over like so. But this next piece is just, frankly, too big. So
that one that I printed out, is that replacement order? Yes. Right.
That's my husband.
I want you to send her the tracking number.
He is yelling.
And anything you can't replace,
Okay, well, I'm cutting here. Okay, I think Vernon's through talking for a while. His voice really carries. Oh my God. Okay, so I took it apart because everything was getting mushed together and these pieces were losing their definition. Like this has a decidedly, it's very square on top and it's round on the bottom. And there is some distortion here, but by taking it apart and starting it again, I have put this little piece cut from the wedge and I've stuck it there because I think I need something that will keep the clay, prevent the clay from rounding at that point. So that's why I did that. Now this I had to reduce further because it was just, honestly, it was too big. It was just too big. So I reduced it. Let's see square it off like so. And let me see what it looks like when I put it next to this guy. Now, I think it's important that I smooth this over just a bit. Okay, now there is a space here, so the clay, the black clay, is going to fall in. There will be some distortion in this white piece because, as we all know, the clay fills in spaces where it is going to fill it in, not necessarily where we want. I don't think it's going to be that critical at this point, as long as I can maintain kind of the squareness here at the top. That I think is rather important. I had completely lost it before. The piece was not looking at all, they were just looking like white blobs. So I'm trying much harder to maintain at least that shape. Okay. All right, so let me take another little wedge. And try to fill in right here above it. Hopefully that will prevent that end from getting round. Like so. Now I've got this last piece, which is quite a bit smaller, so I'm going to reduce it. It too is slightly squared off at the end. It's getting difficult to do because it's so tiny, but I will do my best. Kind of square that off at the end. Okay. Let's cut some more off this wedge, just so I have something to sit above this last piece. First, flatten it a bit. Okay, I think that looks much better than what I had before. Let me trim away some of the excess again. Just a bit. Okay. And that's the way these will come together. Now, what I have to do, I'm going to take and I'm going to wrap this with another sheet here, and I'm going to try to fill in these spaces so they don't flatten out. Clay in the way. All right, needle tool. Okay. And I'm going to fill these spaces with little snakes. And really, this is just to ensure that this doesn't completely flatten so that we can see the scallop created by the individual cells. Okay. All right. Actually, I think I will just roll them in. This one's sticking out a bit far, so I'll cut it off. This one too. Cut the excess off. All right, now like so, and then this will go right here. And I will fill this space with a wedge. Now my wedges are a little bit small, so rather than cut it in half, I will take one and flatten it out. So it appears to be about right there. Well, it was much easier making a butterfly wing the old way I did, which was, this is what I remember a butterfly wing looks like. Rather than trying to make something that actually is a butterfly wing. How about that? Well, I'm learning with you. All right, so let's cut just that little bit off. Okay. All right, so that's what we have so far. I think it's looking okay. So I'm going to continue to pack this area here, filling in like this space and this space. So this will be nice and smooth. Now, I will probably add this and add a few little tiny dots at some point. Maybe I can add a dot like right there, like right there. Not exactly accurate, but hey, I'm sure all these butterflies aren't exactly the same. Okay, so that's what I will do. Now, to make that one little dot, of course, all I'm going to do is take, oh, here it is, this, and just reduce it really, really small, really tiny. Okay, I'm just going to cut a piece off, like so. I'll reduce it really tiny, really small, because this will make all these dots. Of course, just by reducing them really, really tiny. Okay, here we go. And you know, it's going to be a little bit misshapen. I mean, it's not going to be perfectly round, but once again, I do not think that's particularly critical. There we go. And now I will fill this area and then I'll be back. So I packed this side, and now I just wanted to stop so you could see. So there's a thick sheet, and then I pressed in with my needle tool to fill in the space. Then I put a couple of snakes here, and now I'm going to take my blade and I'm going to cut and make this side smooth. And I have to admit, I like this cutting part. I do. I really do. I like to overpack. Just put in way too much clay, fill in the space, and then come back and then cut away the excess. Just remove it. I find that it's a very good way of packing a cane. When I first started, you know, if I was making a round cane, I would try to make it round. I mean, I would try to pack it round. And I wasted so much time doing just that very thing. Because it is faster if you overpack. If you just put more clay than you need, just fill it up and then take your blade after and just cut away what you don't want. Just cut to shape. Okay. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Now I have to pack this area, primarily black with a couple white dots. Then I have to add some white dots underneath here, doink, 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 black, and then more little white dots along the edge. So we really are almost done. So let me work on this. Now what I want to do here, just as I did here with the sheet and these little rods or little snakes, I'm going to do the same thing here, because this could quite easily just flatten out. If I didn't pay attention, if I just put a sheet here and filled in, when you push, what happens is all of this would flatten out and it would not be scalloped at all. So this is one of those situations where you definitely want to add a sheet and then little snakes. So let me quickly do that. So I'm going to okay. So it is kind of amazing how you can actually just flatten out areas that you don't want to flatten out at all. Okay. Just going to take this and wrap it around like so. Okay. Needle tool. Needle tool. Now I will fill in each of these spaces with rods, and then I'll trim away as I did before. So let me get to that, but you saw how this part, and this is important, otherwise, as I said, this whole area might just look like nothing but flat. No scalloping, okay? I took 3 sheets, rolled through the thickest setting of my pasta machine. I put them together and I kind of shaped a cap over this end. Now I'm going to cut it. What I want is I want to cut this black shape in here, and then I will put white dots around the perimeter. Okay, so I think maybe here, here. Let's just take it slowly, one side at a time. Okay. It does kind of curve down. Let me move this. It's a little hard to see, I bet. I'm cutting on top of the butterfly. So let's see if this is a little easier. Okay, now let's take a teeny tiny white dot, maybe put it about here. You know what? I think it's so tiny. Oh, where's my needle tool? That I'm gonna make a little trench like so and lay it in. Now, about down here, then there will be one there, but I have to put more clay in. Let's put another little white dot in. Okay, now I'm going to fill in more of this black space around. Then, you know, I have to start filling in down here. But let me get this part done. So I wrapped a sheet around from just underneath this one all the way around the top, and then I trimmed it away. But I think I would like to put these two dots in right now. So I reduced my white bullseye, lay it in, and then next to it, I think I will put another one. Okay, then here, about here, I guess, is another one. Looks like it's a little bit down. There's a little more black space here, but I think I may just go ahead and cheat it. Maybe I'll make it a little smaller. Okay, and maybe I'll flatten it out a bit. Lucky for us, none of these are really round, so we don't have to be too concerned about it. Okay, so let me reduce another and put it right there. Actually, it should be closer, and this time I can do something about it. Cut some of the black away so I can actually move that white dot in closer, very close. I just cut away part of the butterfly wing just a bit, but I'm really not concerned about that. Okay, so let me put it right here, right there. Okay. Now there's a tiny one right there. Now here's some that I reduced before. So why don't we just put this one in? It's a little teeny tiny one. Now, I will put another sheet here, just fill in all of these spaces. And then I got to put 2 more dots there. There are a couple of other places, but honestly, I'm starting to get a little confused about the dots. So we'll just do our best. So I'll be back. So I filled the spaces between. Now I'm going to wrap black sheet from, about here, right underneath here, about here, I think. And I've rolled this, excuse me, through setting number 4. Okay, so we'll start, let's see, about there. Okay. So I think I'm going to put 2 here. Like so. And I'm going to put a small one here. So I'm still sort of following the photo, but it is not going to be exactly the same. Now I will fill these spaces here, right in through here. No, I want 2 teeny, 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 tiny white ones. Teeny tiny white ones. 2 teeny tiny dots, like right there. Fill up. Oh, that doesn't even fill up the space. It doesn't come close. Let me see if I can do a little better this time. Yep. Okay. Good deal. Let's put that dot in. All right, so I'm going to pack around here and make another, add another sheet underneath this row thin, and then we're going to add these. Or maybe we won't add them. Maybe this is enough. Okay, everybody, at this point, this is where I have to watch out, because at about this point, I get lazy. Okay, so we're going to see this to the end. I'm going to put a sheet around, and then we're going to add these. Okay, here I am. And yes, it is definitely a problem. At a certain point in time, I have been known to just say, I'm leaving now, it's time for a snack. So it's a real problem for me. Maybe it's not a problem for you. I hope it's not a problem for you, but I start to lose interest at a certain point, like after about the 50th little white dot and a butterfly wing. All right, but I'm gonna tough it out to the end. All right, now we're gonna do, these little dashes. Now, our dashes are gonna be made from the bullseye, so it's got black all around it. But I personally think that's okay. Okay, let me just cut the end here so I can actually see where everything is. Okie dokie. So here's one. Let's just flatten that baby to see how big it is. There's one. All right. Now I'm going to put in a second one. Flatten it. Then underneath this guy, and you want to roll kind of slowly because your tool may pick it up. Okay, here's another one underneath this guy. Okay, so there's 4. Then I'm gonna put one here. One here. Then another one here. Okay, so now we have the little dashes along the edge. These are really teeny, so really, really teeny, tiny. Okay, now I'm just gonna put like so and drop teeny tiny one in there. And then they seem to be paired off, these teeny tiny ones. So leave a little bit of a space and then put 2 together. Okay, so I am going to cheat it a bit. And instead of putting 2 more little eeny weeny ones, I'm going to put this one in, which is a little bit larger. So I will just cut a piece off of this, reduce it out. And like this. And you know, I didn't do this, push it into the clay, because actually this is sitting and you want it to spread across the surface more than you want it to sink in to the wing. Okie dokie. That was my dog and my cat. Okay, folks, so I'm ready to reduce this, so I'm going to. And you know, I'm going to make the second wing, but I think just by watching me do the first one, you'll be able to do the second one, and I won't have to shoot it, because I think you get it. So let me reduce this wing now. Same. Oh, hi, Cindy. I'm recording. It's okay. That was Cindy, everybody. Okay, so when you reduce, because I'm going to reduce it in this shape. Now, as I reduce, it may get misshapen, and I may have to correct it once I do achieve the final reduction, but still, same boogie, a lot of this, a lot of flattening out. I can see that this is hanging back a little bit, so I'm going to take, flatten it, flatten this side too. And I think this helps parts that might be wanting to hang back. I think it kind of helps them catch up. Everything's quite soft, so I don't think it's going to take a lot of effort to get all of this clay moving nicely. Also, you know, if you take your fingers and you press the sides, and most of the time, if there's a part that is going to hang back or give you a problem, you can feel it. You can feel that it's soft, and then you'll hit kind of a hard spot. Okay, so I'm going to keep reducing, and I'll be back. So I made the second wing, the lower wing, and basically I took the lighter orange here when I had made the original orange, and then I added yellow, and I think I added a little violet to mute the yellow down a bit. Skinner blended it, followed the same basic procedure as I did for the top, and tried my best to follow my picture, the photograph. All right, and this is what I have. So basically, this is a little bit smaller. I reduced it a little bit, but I put them together so you can see what a whole butterfly looks like. You know, when I get it all together like this, then I think it was worth the effort. And even though there's distortion in here, I think that it's really a nice butterfly, these wings. I really like it a lot. And it was worth the extra effort, I believe. This was really a simple wing, the one that it's like, this is as much as I remember about a butterfly wing, and then I made it. Didn't consult any pictures or anything. I just thought, well, that looks like a butterfly wing. But I have to tell you, I do like this one much more. And it does look like a more convincing butterfly than this one, I think. All right, so that's those are the wings. Now I will make the body, so let me get prepared for that. So I built the upper wing and the lower wing, put them together. This is the way half of the butterfly looks. These I covered with a thin sheet of gold. I think that in many instances, this flash of this outline around the wings really helps separate the butterfly from the background, because this part is very dark, right? Very dark. Now, let me show you what I've done with that dark area. For instance, I made this little floral scene using the leaves from the other tutorial. And then I put the wings on. I'm going to be building the body and the head. But you can see that little flash of gold is helping separate the background black from the black in the wing. Now, if you look at the structure of the wing too, you'll notice there's no white here, there's no white there. So what I did was I just took little pieces cut from our white bullseye cane wrapped in black. And here's a very, very tiny one. Teeny, teeny, tiny. And I positioned them in certain places on the wing and then rolled them in. Now, I did that here as well, only I went a little crazy. I put a lot of white on it, and I'm not sure I would do that again. I think less is more, actually. You'll also notice that the shape of the wing is different. This I cut and it flattened out, and I used it that way. This one, I cut a little differently. Instead of laying it on its back like this and cutting, I actually stood it up and cut this way, and the wing itself squashed down a lot less that way. All right, so I didn't have equal parts of the upper and lower wing left, so what I did with the lower wing was I just made these tiny butterfly wings. It's the same, of course, the upper wing is the same as the lower wing. I just reshaped them, or shaped them differently. Now, by volume, there is more clay in the upper wing. So I shaped it first, and then I cut some off of the reshaped wing, and then I shaped it again, and I rounded it a little more. You see, it doesn't come to a point like the upper wing. Now here's an even tinier one. So this is even smaller. Now the one thing you want to do if you do something like this is you want to fill the gap with some translucent clay, or, you know, if you're going to be using the butterfly on, let's say, a black background, then you would fill this with black. But I use translucent because I don't know where I'm going to be using these little butterfly wings. If you don't put that little piece of translucent in there that separates the upper and lower wing, what will happen is, and let me just grab it, this, when you cut it, you can see this is starting to close. And at worst, this will be completely flat, like so, and there will be no separation between them. And I think you really want that separation between the wings, like that and like that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make the body. And I have taken some scraps, and I'm just going to mix this up and see what color I get. Now here is the actual body of the butterfly. So I want something within this range, some color that sort of falls within that range. So I might as well just take scrap yellows, oranges, lots of black, and see what I come up with. There's white in here as well. So let me mix this up and then I'll be back. Now when I mixed up all the scrap, it turned into this. It's kind of a warm grayish color, but of course far too black and far too much, well, it's too cool. Here's the actual color in through here, so you can see. Now I'm going to continue playing with this, and you know, I always say I am not a color mixing person or expert by any means. So we're just gonna do a little experimentation. So I have what I mixed, and you know what? I've got this orange that I mixed too. So I'm just gonna start doing the old cutter method and see how close I can get. Let's say 1 and 1. I'm gonna take a chance and take 2. So let me mix these and I'll be back. This is what I have after 4 orange and 1 scrap. This, and you know what? It's really not too bad in that dark area. So I think I'm going to mix a bit, and then I'm going to blend it to this light. Now, the body I make is not going to look just like this. It's not going to have a highlight on one side. It's really going to be more flat. So I'm going to be building like the segment, one segment. That one segment will be repeated throughout. And it's not going to be technically correct. I mean, you can see the difference. This is very dark. And with each new segment, it seems to be getting lighter particularly along this edge. Well, mine is not going to look like that. I'm just going to take one segment, let's say this one, and I'm going to try to add some orange and use this and make it look dimensional, but not exactly like that. Okay, be back. So here it is. I think I'm going to add some gold just to brighten it up a bit. Here is that color with a little bit of gold in it, and I like it a lot. I think it's going to be fine for the body of the butterfly. This is the remaining orange, and this is the remaining yellow, so I'm mixing them together, and those two will be blended to this. I think that the orange is just too orange, so we'll see what happens. Of course, the addition of the yellow made the orange brighter. I think I want to add a little bit of this and tone it down. I think that's better, a little less bright. Now I'm going to Skinner blend these two, starting with my right angle triangles. And after that's done, I will be back. Here's the blend. Now I'm going to roll it through the pasta machine to thin it quite a bit, placing a solid color edge on the rollers. And then we're going to roll it up. Okay, roll through setting number 4. Now I am going to move my wings because they're in the way. Okay, so let's do it. I'm going to cut some off. And roll. I'm rolling from the orange to the brown. Let's flatten this a bit. I'm going to make it shorter. Oops. Doesn't matter how big my work surface is, it's still not big enough. And you know what? I think I'm going to put a really thin sheet of black around it. Thin. Okay, so this is setting number 9. My atlas, but it's still not quite as thin as I would like, so I'm going to anchor it, and then I'm going to wrap, and I'm just stretching as I'm wrapping. Like so. Now I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I don't think you guys have to watch me do this again. So I'll be back when I've altered the shape, put them together, and I've got a finished cane. All right, back again. And you know what? This is what happened. So the black was definitely not the best idea. And maybe what I should have done was approach it more like I did the wing, where I just put a little strip of black along one edge and then reduced it. And then I would have had just a little bit of black as opposed to black stripes running through. But you know, you don't know really until you try. So it kind of turned into like, why did she do that color mixing at the beginning? Well, honestly, you guys, it's just a little clay and a little time. And sometimes interesting things happen. And you don't know unless you try. So I'm just going to continue with this. So I've reduced it. And this is going to be quite small. Quite. So let's cut it in half and then stack them kind of this way. Not the perfect butterfly body, but if I really can't stand it at the end, this will go into my scrap pile, and I will try a different approach. Actually, I want that up top. Da. Let's see, and above this is the black body. Not great, but not something I can't live. I can live with this. Make it thinner and longer. So maybe this butterfly has a really skinny body. Maybe that's okay. Okay, not the ideal. If I ever build this again, I will try a different approach, but at least I tried this once. And this actually is too tall, so I can compress it and make it shorter. Because as I'm looking at the image, the body is quite a bit above. Well, it is above the bottom of the lower wing. So the body is actually quite small. And this is huge. And it doesn't have to be. Okay, that's closer to the right size. You know what the good news is, that the smaller it gets, the less detailed. So maybe with some luck, the eye will mix these details up. And the body will look even better when you actually see less of it. Even smaller. How about that? Okay, I thought I was just going to make a little bit of this body, but evidently I've made body for life. It happens. Okay, that will be the, it's still too big. I swear it is still too big. So I'm going to make it even smaller. Okay, then I will prepare to make the body. Now, one thing about this, this is not, I wouldn't call this a class. I would call this like a studio session. So if you have some experience with clay, you'll be able to do what I have done in building the butterflies. And if you're a newbie, you might be a little confused by some of the processes. I hope not, but it could happen. But to make this a full-fledged workshop, it would be really, really long. So I'm not saying that that won't happen at some point, but for now, this is more like a studio session with me. And as you can see, it's sort of the way I think about these things and the things that I try to accomplish my ends. And you have seen that sometimes they're successful and sometimes they aren't. So I'm not going to hide that from you either. Every day is not perfect in the studio. And that is absolutely the truth. Okay, so I'll be back with the things I'm preparing to make the body. Now we're going to make the body. Now the body in total should be this size. It's not going to have that big white. This is just for size. So the body's going to be that size. Okay. So I'm going to take the cane and I am just going to flatten it out. Now I cut this piece off. This is as big as the body and the is going to be, because you know I really don't want to make this cane for life, enough of this for life, because if I do, it's just going to get destroyed. So I would kind of like to make just a bit and store it. Now, if we look at the actual picture, we can see that basically the body, the upper body, is sort of oval, and it has these white or light stripes that go through. Then it's attached to the lower body. Mine is just going to be black up here, and then the lower body coming down. I'm not going to make any effort to join them or to merge them together in the way that they appear in nature. So we're just going to concentrate on making the oval with the stripes for now. All right. So I flattened it, and I know that this is the size I want it to be. Okay, so that's approximately it. So that is the center. All right, so let me cut this. It's going to be that large. And we will flatten more of it. And then put two slightly smaller, one on each side. Okay. Reducing is pretty simple at this point because this bullseye was very soft. So it's just a matter of gently stretching. And I need one for each side. Gotta be smaller. And we just have this so far. Okay. Now I'm going to go on and do the same thing. So I make this more round. It isn't, of course, exactly as the upper body is built, but I'm doing my best. You know, there's just no right way to work with clay, I don't think. I mean, I work totally differently than many of my friends. I have friends who are extremely analytical, and then I have some clay friends who are completely the opposite, totally the opposite. And it's beautiful because clay, polymer clay, is the perfect medium for both of them, or all of them, or all of us. There are no rules as to you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way. No, there's no have to. Okay, so now, okay. Now I'm going to take this little teeny tiny bullseye. And when you start working with this stuff, it half the time, pieces like this end up in my scrap pile because I didn't look at the ends and I wasn't particularly good at keeping things separated. So I'm going to put one here, run it right along the side of the top ridge. Actually, that's wrong. I'm going to lower it, perhaps down here. Made sense to me at the time, but it was wrong. Okay. Right down here between the outermost and the second to the outermost. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. I will accept this like so. Now the next part of the head appears to be something like a neck. Sorry, I don't have the technical term for that. But there it is. The two great big white dots and little tiny white dots on the side. Okay, so let's take another piece. This guy. I'm going to roll this out a bit. Okay, now let's put these two right above like this. All right, so there's something that's not quite right about this, and it's the right size, but the white is too large. Okay, there's just too great a white area. So this is a situation where this is a much better option, because I think you can probably see that there's more black around. Now, they may be the same size. Actually, this one is bigger, but even if I get this down to the same size, what you will see is that there's more black and less white. And I did that just by putting 2 sheets of black around the cylinder. Or just imagine I put another wrap around this. Okay. So this is the better choice here. Okay. Rather than this, which would have been great big white spot with very little black around it. And I think I'm going to ignore the small white ones on the outside and continue building the top. Now the top appears, the top is broader. It has 2 white dots closer together and then 2 white dots that are separated with more black. So I'm going to use the single wrap, this one, the one with less black around, and then I'm going to use the double wrap on the outside. Okay, single wraps. Ooh, see, I just squished this up. Okay, now let's see what this looks like. It might not look right at all. I might have to take it off or change the size. Or I might just live with it. And I'm sure the bug people are going, what is she doing? That doesn't look like a butterfly head at all. Okay. I'm doing my best. Okay. Let's see. I think it's a perfectly respectable butterfly head. I mean, I could be wrong about that. Okay. Maybe it's just too big. Sometimes it's just a size thing. Okay, if you can believe it, we're almost done. All right, now I'm going to put 2 little brown dots there. Boink. And that's where the antennae come out of. So let me do that. The brown is just going to be mushed up, whatever this is. Okay, I'll be back. I constructed a whole butterfly on my work surface just to show you how it will come together on another clay project. So the next thing I will do is try to make some of these, right? I'm going to make these plates, only the new butterfly will actually have a body, a lower body and upper body and antenna. And I really think that looks pretty good. I'm not unhappy with that at all. Okay, so let me get to work and I will be back with some finished products. Now that we have our butterfly wings, let's use them. Now, these are the 2 pieces that I actually did put up on Facebook, and they were experiments, and I like them, but if you really, they look almost like butterflies that have been flattened and mounted. I mean, you can almost imagine a pin there, maybe a pin there. They are fine, but they don't have much movement in them. They're good butterflies, but they don't give you a sense that they're moving at all. Okay, so how can we do that? Because that's really what I want to do, is I want to create butterflies that look like they're in flight, or that they're moving, or that they're alive particularly. So I'm going to set these aside. This is an experiment I did. Of course, this is a butterfly from the side view, but this top wing blends into the bottom because there's no definition around that top wing. And that's what a thin sheet of gold would do. It would separate the two, one from the other. And then we would have a more successful side view of a butterfly, I believe. This is more really what I want. This to me looks more like a butterfly in flight. And what it is basically is a large wing and a reduced wing, a large wing and a reduced wing. What happens is our brain is telling us that these 2 wings are the same size and these 2 wings are the same size. Since this is smaller on this side, is farther away, which also sort of creates this impression that the butterfly is moving, that it's not static. So I just did this as an experiment. So these wings have not been outlined in gold. So they're also receding further back. It's not really what I want. So I did take these 2 wings and wrap gold around them. So now I have 2 different sizes of wings, a larger upper wing and a slightly reduced upper wing. and a larger lower wing and a slightly reduced lower wing. And by using them together, I can create a butterfly that's more in motion, a 3/4 view, more or less. Okay, which is really what I want. I prefer this to this. It's a little harder to see here because of the background, but I think you understand what my goal was when I did it. All right, so let's just do it. How about that? Now, in this one, I put the body down first, and I think I'm going to put the body down after I lay down these upper wings, because I kind of like this more in the middle. I don't know. I'm going to work on the adjustment. So this time, we're going to put the wings down first. Okay, so here is the larger upper wing. And to cut it, I'm going to lay it on this edge and then carefully cut. I want it to be very, very thin. Okay, so I got the whole wing, and it's really, really thin. So let's put this here. And I think I will take the tip of the wing and just kind of pull it. Pull it out and down a bit, like so. Excuse me. This is the lower wing. And it is the larger one. You know, I think this gold is not all the way at the end. Okay, I'm going to start cutting from the other side because it's outlined in gold all the way around. So I kept cutting and not getting the gold. Well, the gold wasn't there. There was no gold to be had. All right. So let's put this guy in. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to take my little brass rod. This is just a test, so I wasn't really concerned about that. Okay, now as I'm rolling, I'm kind of trying to roll it out the direction I want it to go. If I want this wing a little wider, then I roll this way and I pull it out just a bit. If I want to raise this part of the upper wing, then I will just take and try to move the clay in that direction. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, let me cut the smaller wings. These are the big ones. I'm going to set those aside. No, this is the big one. This is the smaller one. There we go. And let me cut the smaller one. Okay, I think that's good. But you know, I'm looking at this upper wing and it seems to be a little thick. So let me try again. Let me try to cut one that's smaller, thinner. That's better, but I missed there. I missed the tip. I'll keep these because I may use them someplace else. Okay, that's good. I will live with this one. Okay, let's go back. Set that aside. Let's just take these and put these here so they don't get squished. I mean, one of these might be good. These might be good for the bottom. Let's say I'm going to make another butterfly from the side. Well, I think that would be fine. This one's just too thick. All right, so I am going to have to put the body in now rather than sort of approximate, although, no, I'm going to do it. And then, actually, no. I keep changing my mind. So let's put the body in. Upper body, and here is the lower. Now the lower body, I think is about right there. Oops, let me get myself underneath my phone. Okay. Okay, there's the body. Okay. Oops. I have to cut another lower wing. Okay. Now I'm going to put the lower wing in. And the upper wing. Okay, and I think that looks much better. It really looks to me like a butterfly in flight. There's a lot more movement just by using wings of 2 different sizes. Okay, large, large, small, small, and the butterfly looks like it's actually flying. Okay, so the antenna are black, and I'm just going to take a really, really thin, just thin black clay. I'm doing the best. It's very hard to work with something that thin. That'll just have to do for now. I have to work harder on my antenna skills. I guess butterflies would have longer antenna than that. So there we go. And here's the difference. A little difficult to see, but I think you can. There's a lot more movement here. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed our butterfly studio time together. And I hope you make tons of butterflies. Oh, that wing looks a little bit like it's going out a little too far. Don't ever forget, you know, you have a lot more control than you think when you're rolling your cane slices into other clay. I mean, you can actually control the way the slice you put on moves. You can decide where it should go out, where it should go in. And just by taking your rod and rolling it in a particular direction, you have all that control in your hands. Okay, so until we meet again, hope you enjoyed it. Bye. So now, friends, here's something that's completely the opposite of what we just did. I had a cane. I had a lot of it. I didn't particularly like it. I didn't see how I'd use it in anything other than what I had used it for originally. It worked fine then, but I had so much of it left. So I thought, I have to do something with it. So why not make a butterfly? This is a really good thing to try. If you have something that you're not really that fond of, you got nothing to lose. Try making a butterfly. Well, I made all the components for our cane, and as luck would have it, or as unluck would have it, I ended up with a lot of this berry left over. You know, it had a purpose in this cane for me, but as a standalone cane, I will never use it for anything. So I have a choice. I can just leave it and let it sit there for the next 10 years or so. Or I can just take it and try to turn it into something that I will use and that I will like more. So I did. I took a piece. This is how much I had. This is left over. And this is what I did. I made a butterfly out of it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do exactly this one, but I'm going to use this. All right. So I'd already reduced this down to whatever size this is. It's more than half an inch and half an inch square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to form, reshape it, softening these sides. And I think I'm going to cut some clay off of that point. So let's just soften it and change the shape. You know, many times you make something and you think, you know, it's okay. It's okay. It's not this great thing. But you know what that means? That means that you can do things to it, you can squish it, you can cut it, you can do lots of things to it, and you're not going to mind. Because what you started with to begin with wasn't something that you were so much in love with. So you're risking nothing. Absolutely nothing. By playing with it. And who knows, you may find that you end up with something that you really do love. Yes, I ended up making so much of this particular cane. I do not know why, but I did. All right, we're getting there. Here, I'll show you what I've got so far. Okay, so I've just kind of reshaped it. Those corners have been pushed in. All right, now I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm going to use my handy dandy ruler so that I cut it as close to in half as I can. So it's 4 1/2, so that would be 2 1/4. Okay, take that. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put them together, and I'm going to squish them so that together they will make one wing. I think this was okay, but I think it would have been better if I had actually done what I'm doing here and made the pattern a little smaller and a little more detailed. Okay. We're getting there. And I'm going to make one wing for both the top that will serve as both the top and the bottom. Okay, here we go. Let's look at what we have now. Okay, so this will be one wing, like so. Not the fanciest butterfly, but could be useful. Okay. Now there is quite a bit of black at the tip of the wing, like right here. So I think I'm going to cut some of that off. It's easy enough to do. So I'll draw out as much as I can just by pulling. Now I've just pressed the wing so that this part is stuck to my work surface. Make it as straight as possible, because I am going to take my blade and cut some of that black away. I can't really see too well what I'm doing. But I do want to get rid of some of it. I think that the wing will look much better without that extra clay. So let's see. Yes, I think it does look better. Okay, now I'm going to cut it in half, because I will be putting, and that's 3, so it's approximately 3. So this will be the upper wing. And then the lower wing has a slightly different shape. I'm going to round out the point. And the bottom wing is a slightly different shape. So you can see. Okay. All right. So I think it's important that we add these details on the edge of both the top and the bottom wings. So basically all I have here is a bullseye cane with a white center and black wrapped around. So here's the one I think I'm going to use most of. Now in this particular wing I used, let me see if I can find it. I used this one. And can you see the difference? There's a lot more black around this one, and this has a very thin wrap of black, which means you see more of the white detail. But I think it was a mistake. I think I needed more like spots with black around them rather than this big hunk of white with like little lines in between. So that's what we're gonna do. I think it'll look better. All right. And you know, I didn't even really try to maintain the roundness of the cane. And so let me just show you quickly the best way to do that. Because of course when you push and compress the clay, what happens is it will fill any space. And in that case, it filled and formed these corners and squares. Okay, so I've just rolled a very fine snake of just black clay, so I will fill that in there. So now I filled in some of that space, and I will continue to put more of these around, and having them reduced to slightly different diameters is also a good idea. Now I will continue probably to here. I'll show you after I've done it. But in the meantime, when I put them together like this, of course I'm going to want to put some clay in between them on top as well. Okay. All right, so I will be back when I'm done. And here is the upper wing with those white dots along the edge. Let me cut, and this is what it looks like from the side. All right. Now, let me take a cut. See what we've got here. And that's a sweet little butterfly wing, I think. Okay, now with my fingers I will just lightly flatten the bullseyes that I attach to the edge. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. And the top wing is ready, so let me start working on the bottom. Now, as I said, the bottom is a different shape. I guess that's probably not always true, but for me, I like it when the top is sort of pointed. It's like a kind of a pod shape, and this is more like a teardrop. And this may be a little large too. I mean, the butterflies that I've seen when I Google, many of them have smaller wings on the bottom. But I don't know, I'm not all that familiar with all the butterflies in the world. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing, and I will apply these bullseye canes from here and then probably up to about here and maybe a little bit farther on the lower outer, the part of the wing that lies closest to the body. So let me get that done and I will be back. So I put these little dots, white dots, around the bottom wing. I haven't rolled them in yet, but this is what it looks like. So let me just lightly roll them in. Now I have a top and bottom butterfly wing. That is my cat Dusty running around, entertaining himself, doing whatever the heck he wants. All right, so here is, I showed you this butterfly. It's slightly different. What happened here was I just kept reducing it and pushing it together and reducing and pushing. And so I got that bottom wing, and then of course the large one was just a single motif. This is two. Okay, so what I did though was I made a butterfly, and this guy lives in a pot on my deck. I like him. I like him. I did not put any kind of protective coating on him. This is another butterfly I made. These were leftover wing parts. And I thought, oh, I'll make butterflies and put them in my flower pots. So I'm glad they're being used. So that is it. So now you have a butterfly. You would have to make, a head and a body. And basically, this was just a demo of how you might use something that you have a lot of and you don't know what to do with. Just try playing with it. Push it here, squeeze it there, put this on it, put that on it, slap it together, and you might have a butterfly. All right, so that's it. Until we meet again, bye.